Hey everyone, I'm Brittany Snyder, Longwood class of 2006, and tonight we are going to make a charcuterie board to elevate your happy hour. So if you guys have these little bags, go ahead and get those out because in them you have these cute little picks that we're gonna be using on the board. You can stick them in your cheese when you're done. We are gonna start tonight. The first step to making any cheese board is we're gonna map out where we want our objects that are not cheese. So on your shopping list, I put on there some honey or mustard. So if you're using either of those, go ahead and make sure they're in a little cup. It doesn't matter what type of cup, any type of ramekin, or if you have any of these little plastic guys around, you can use those. Put your honey in there. I added a little chili flakes to mine to add it, make it a little extra spicy. Not anything you have to do, but if you have it at home, I do recommend it because it is good. So we're gonna put those on the board. Again, we're gonna put these down and map out where we want things. Right, tonight we are gonna be working with manchego. If you couldn't find manchego in your store, that's all right. We've got cheddar cheese is also a good semi-hard cheese. We've got a brie wheel or wedge, whichever you could find, and a log of goat cheese. So when I am making my board, I like to think and plan that I'm doing it like I'm having a party. So you wanna put any cheeses like this on the outside, because if you put that in the middle of your board, it's just going to get all over everything else. Next, we're gonna put our brie, which is also a softer cheese. I'm not gonna cut this as I would if I were having a party, because you guys are just at home tonight, but you do see that it is creamier on the inside. Cut it in half, but I'm gonna put them right back together, and I'm gonna put that in a corner, nestle it in. And then with your manchego, hopefully your wedges look similar to this. You're going to do some cuts with that are gonna be a little bit bigger for how we're gonna be styling this cheese. I've got some that's pre-cut here. So we're gonna take these triangles and we are gonna alternate which way they're pointing. We're gonna stand them up and repeat that step. This adds dimension to your board, just a little bit of a fun way, easy for people just to grab and go. There we go, and you can point that whichever direction. It should stay up as long as your cuts are big enough. So make sure if you're cutting that, like I said, probably about 1/4 inch to make sure that they have enough area to be able to stand up on their own. Right. Next, we are going to make a salami rose. I know these have been all over TikTok. We're doing it a different way. I'm not gonna use the glass route. Don't need to dirty up anything else. So we are just going to do it with our hands. You're gonna take your piece of salami. If you didn't find salami, if you have pepperoni, any type of meat that's round, you're gonna fold it in half like this. Then you're gonna take your first piece and you're gonna roll. And this is gonna create the center of your rose. Roll it pretty tight, and we're gonna take that next step, next piece, fold it in half, and start to wrap it around. And these are gonna create the illusion of petals. So the two pieces right now will meet and kind of fold over. We're gonna repeat that step again. And where the salami meets, we're gonna fold that larger piece over, and you can see that it's starting to not meet like it did before, and that's what we want. You can use as much salami to make these as you want. They can be as big or as little. And if you kind of squeeze at the bottom, if you're using a dry salami or like a Genoa salami that has a little bit more grease, moisture to it, but if you squeeze the bottom, they should stay together pretty well. I'm gonna stop here because I do think that if I go too much bigger, it might fall apart. So I think that's a good size salami rose. And salami and manchego are an excellent combination. So I'm gonna nestle that guy right here beside it. And if it does start to fall apart, all right, that's okay. You're gonna put enough stuff beside it that, that it should just kind of close it in. Another thing you can do with salami is you can make a salami river. So we're gonna take these pieces again, we're gonna fold them in half, and we're gonna create a little triangle. Hold it by the bottom there. Repeat that step. Squeeze them together. I'm gonna do about 3 or 4 pieces here. go. Kind of on top of each other, squeeze them at the bottom. And again, just put that on your board. I'm gonna put that right here next to this brie and the honey. And it kind of stands up just like that and creates, again, adds some dimension to your board and creates what is known in the charcuterie world as a salami river. So now that we have our salami, we have our cheeses on here, we're gonna start to garnish it with some of the good stuff. So on the grocery list, I said berries. You can use any, I did blackberries, blueberries, or strawberries, or a combination of them. You can use any berries you find in the store. Anything's gonna be good, especially with brie. Brie and berries are a great combination, as well as brie and goat cheese with a little piece of that honey, a little bit of salami. That's the perfect bite. So I like to put my berries next to my brie. I like to do that with a lot of the different fruits because, like I said, those are flavors that complement each other well, but you can put your berries wherever you would like. Start with the strawberries. I'm gonna take some blueberries. I'm gonna sprinkle those in. This is a plain goat cheese, like I said, which will be absolutely delicious with that honey. You can buy certain goat cheeses that have flavors that are all great, but I do really like the plain goat cheese because you can add flavors to it. You can roll it in. If you have any dill in your fridge or any sort of herbs, you can make like your own herb goat cheese at home, which is great. I'm also going to use, if you have any cranberries or any raisins, I'm gonna sprinkle those in the board too. Those are always good to add on. They kind of fill up a little bit of space, and they're also really good with that fruit and with brie and with goat cheese as well. And they add a nice little pretty color. I'm also using a fan favorite. These are the dried oranges from Trader Joe's. If you have a Trader Joe's near you, I'd definitely recommend running out and grabbing some. Any board that I've put them on that I've made for customers, they absolutely love them. So I had a couple of these in my fridge I wanted to grab to add on here, even though it wasn't on the list. They just add a nice little color, as well as some apricots. These apricots are also really good. Dried fruit of any type is always popular on boards. And it's also good like in the winter if you're having one of these, having a party in the winter, building your board, and fruit doesn't look that great. Dried fruit is always a good go-to. And lastly, we're gonna add our crackers. Whichever crackers you prefer. These are Rosemary Crackers, which are delicious. I like to just take them and fan them out across the board, kind of from one end to the next. So if you and your best friend are sitting on opposite sides, you can just reach over and not have to reach over the whole board, but grab one from each side of the board. And let's go ahead and garnish them with our cute little longwood picks. Looks great in our brie. I think that'll look fun right there in our goat cheese too. And there you go. Elevate your happy hour with a fun little board. It's gonna be delicious. If you did choose mustard on your board, that goes great with manchego. I put that on the list in case you weren't really into the honey or the sweets. That's a nice savory option to eat with manchego and salami and cracker. That's a great bite right there. So enjoy. I would love for you guys to give me a follow on Instagram. You can find me at Charcuterie Boards by Britt. On Facebook, I'm on there as Boards by Britt. You'll see my face as the picture. Let me see your boards. Tag me in your photos. Hashtag Longwood together so we can see how many alum are making beautiful boards tonight to get ready for this awesome concert we're gonna have virtually with Pat McGee and some yummy drinks with Scott Smith down in the Outer Banks. He's up next. Y'all are gonna make some really tasty treats tonight. Enjoy.
Hey Longwood family, welcome to Outer Banks Distilling. My name's Scott Smith, and I'm gonna walk y'all through a couple of my favorite cocktails that we make right here at the distillery, but you can make them at your house. So everything we're gonna be doing here, the rum is off for sale in the ABC stores in North Carolina and Virginia. Also, all these ingredients that we're gonna work with are stuff that you can readily find at any of your local grocery stores too. So the first one we're gonna do is I'm gonna make you the Golden Guava Daiquiri. It's one of my favorite drinks. So pretty simple. In your shaker tin, fill it full of ice. Take our barrel-aged gold rum, a good solid 2 ounces in there. Next up in the shaker tin, I'm gonna do 2 ounces of guava juice. You can get this on the international aisle. Then about a 3/4 of an ounce simple syrup, and then some lime juice just to make it tart. Real easy, really simple. Give that a good shake. That should do it. So I'm using a coupe glass here, but you can use a rocks glass at your house. Chill the glass, keep it full of ice. I like to double strain this just to keep out the ice chips, but you don't have to. Pour it into the glass. Boom, look at that. It's almost like I've done this before. Then you can garnish it if you like, but you don't really have to. We'll sip on that later. When we're off camera, I'm probably gonna chug that one. The next one we're gonna make is gonna be with our silver rum. So we call this one the Bimini Twist. Cocktail glass, fill it full of ice. We're gonna use our silver rum for this. Good solid pour in there. 2 ounces or so. I have heavy hands, so it depends on how you wanna do it. This, we're gonna use coconut water. You can get this at the grocery store as well. Really refreshing summertime drink. Got a little more in there. Then we're gonna use a little bit of lime juice in there. Just a little bit of simple syrup. Sweeten it up a little bit. And then to top it off, we're gonna use a few dashes of Angostura bitters. So this drink actually originated, it came from a Islands in the Stream. It's a Hemingway book. So give that a little stir in there. And that's a perfect afternoon cocktail to sip on as well. I think I'll have a sip. Yep, you should make one of those at your house right now. So while y'all are fixing a cocktail, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take y'all in the back and show you how we make the rum. All right guys, now we're back here in the actual distillery, and I just wanna take a second to thank everybody too. It's been unreal the amount of Longwood alumni support and current students that have been through here to support us and check out what we're doing. I really appreciate it, so cheers to y'all. And I'm gonna explain to this how this is made. So before I get to the distillation actual process, I'm gonna show you the raw ingredients. So right over here, all these totes right over here, this is all molasses. So all this actually comes out of Louisiana. We get it, all this is gonna be turned into rum. So each one of these you see back here is 3,100 pounds of molasses. Right now we're going through about, I wanna say like 25,000 pounds of molasses a month. So we're going through quite a bit. But how the process starts is we'll take one of these, wheel it in through here, park it right here in the front, and I'm gonna start first with this tank right here. So what this is called a reaction tank. So all this is right here is gonna be a hot water and molasses blend just to start off the process of what we call making wash. So you're probably more familiar with bourbon, whiskeys. You'll hear them talking about making a mash. Here in rum, we call it wash. So the hot water comes from this tank behind me right here. The water's pumped in, and what it does is it'll just kill off any wild yeast that might remain inside that molasses. There's wild yeast strands in the air. So what we don't wanna do is have any conflicting yeast strands that's gonna compete with the yeast we're gonna add to it during fermentation. So after that's all mixed together, we're gonna send it to one of our 6 fermentation tanks we have. So we have right here, we have 4 1,200 liter fermentation tanks and 2 2,400 liter fermentation tanks. So what happens here is we pump the wash inside. At this point, we add the yeast to it. What the yeast does is it eats the sugar inside the molasses. And what happens is it creates alcohol inside here. So what we're really gonna be doing, it ferments for about a week, and we create a 10% alcohol molasses wash. So think about it at this point, it's almost like we're gonna brew a 10% alcohol molasses beer, and that's what we're gonna send back to the still. So back here, this is pretty much my baby. This is our still. This was all custom made for us in Germany. This is an Arnold Holstein still. So it's a 300 liter pot still with a 9-plate rectifying column. And here we actually do 4 still runs every day. So we're in production 7 days a week. We start running at 4 o'clock in the morning. We end up running to about 9 o'clock at night. So we pump the wash inside. This is a steam jacket on the outside, heated up here. What happens is the alcohol vapor will start to break off from that wash that's inside. So the vapor travels up. This is called a helmet right here. Travels through this tube, makes its way over here to this middle column. This is called a rectifying column. So each one of these windows that y'all see here, these are called bubble plates. So the vapor rises through there, It removes water and impurities, which will then drip back down to this bottom window. It can go back inside the still for redistillation, but it makes its way all the way to the top of the column up there. And at that point, we now have our rum. It's up to 180 proof. So that makes it 90% alcohol by volume. Thank God I did not have that when I was in college, and we can have it here when I'm like an actual adult sort of thing. So then we transfer it over here. This is a condensing column. Inside here, we have a copper coil, and the vapor then condenses back down to liquid where it all flows off right here. This is what it looks like. Everything comes off of the still clear. So no matter what type of product it is, it always comes off clear because you're returning vapor back into liquid. So all of your colors added later on post-distillation, and that'll come through barrel aging or infusions. And we do both of those here as well. Like the gold rum we did for the Guava cocktail, that's a barrel aged product. So that's a short walkthrough on how we make the rum here. So come in, check us out anytime you're on the Outer Banks. We'd love to see y'all. Thank you so much for the support. So fix yourself up another cocktail. Pat McGee band's coming on at 8 o'clock. Can't wait to see him. Cheers, everybody. Love y'all.